Welcome once again to Noir Alley. I'm your host, Eddie Muller. Today's film might be the most disturbing one I've presented so far on TCM. It's The Sniper, a Stanley Kramer production released by Columbia Pictures in 1952. Now, since that time, movies about serial killers have become a genre unto themselves. For the past 40 or so years, hundreds of movies have been made about cunning and crafty killers stalking their prey, leaving taunting clues, and essentially inviting viewers to vicariously share in the thrill of being both hunter and hunted. Hell, one of those murderers was charismatic enough to become a major movie star. Silence of the Lambs' Hannibal Lecter, a winner of multiple Oscars in 1991. Frankly, the way writers and directors have exploited the concept of serial killing for entertainment value makes me sick. But given that our obsession with psychotic murderers is now something of a national pastime, if not a cottage industry, I thought it would be instructive, and I'll admit, entertaining, to take a look at the film that could be considered the genesis of the genre. Now, of course, there were plenty of films before The Sniper that focused on serial killers, but most were period pieces playing off the legend of Jack the Ripper, movies like The Lodger, The Phantom Fiend, and Hangover Square. Or else they were foreign exotica, based on a notorious true case, like Fritz Lang's classic, M. Now, last week's Noir Alley movie, Follow Me Quietly, was typical of how Hollywood once treated the notion of a serial killer as creepy fodder for a police procedural. What is unique about The Sniper is that it sets its killings in a contemporary American context and suggests that the killer's aberrant psychology is far more common than we want to realize. A lot of research went into the original story by husband and wife team Edna and Edward Anholt. Edward's work as a documentarian grounded his storytelling in deeply researched fact. Edna was the Pulp Fiction purveyor, as she showed turning out scripts for the Bulldog Drummond series. Now, they had just gotten a 1951 Oscar nomination for the screenplay of Panic in the Streets, which they parlayed into associate producer status on The Sniper, a first for the couple. Now, a lot of their findings on the pathology of sex crimes makes its way into the mouth of actor Richard Kiley, who has the unenviable chore of being the film's conscience. And a little of his lecturing goes a long way.
You see, Mr. Stonecroft, there are hundreds of thousands of sex offenders walking American streets at this moment who could be the sniper, or worse. But only 1% of them are legally insane.
But you have to remember, this was new territory for American movies, and producer Stanley Kramer was not one to shy away from hammering on social issues he felt were controversial and exploitable. Harry Brown, who was about to win an Oscar for the script of A Place in the Sun, provided the final screenplay, which is remarkable for being one of the first films to deal directly with the homicidal rage of lonely, disturbed men lashing out at women. That's women with a capital W. Now, there are a lot of provocative innuendos in here, suggesting that our society sets up women to be victims of a predatory male instinct. The film's also notable for depicting the protagonist's derangement with a sense of empathy. It doesn't sympathize with him or treat him like a rabid animal. Many scenes capture a transition between a time when sexual deviance was considered a marginal problem, even fodder for cavalier humor, and a coming generation that would be overrun with armed and dangerous predators. 2 decades later, the story's themes of alienation, sexual frustration, and violent revenge would explode on movie screens. Clint Eastwood's Dirty Harry pursues a 1970s version of The Sniper through the same streets seen in today's film, and our protagonist would reach his apotheosis in 1976 as Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver. Now, this is not to suggest that The Sniper was an influential film. It was, in fact, a flop, largely ignored by critics and the public. The press paid more attention to who Stanley Kramer had chosen to direct the film, recently blacklisted Edward Dmytryk. As one of the Hollywood 10, Dmytryk had just served a 1-year prison sentence for contempt of Congress after refusing to cooperate with the House Un-American Activities Committee. But after refuting his affiliation with the Communist Party and providing the names of fellow party members to authorities, Dmytryk was granted re-entry to the Hollywood hierarchy. With Murder My Sweet and Crossfire already under his belt, his reputation as an excellent director should have been secure. But his political history overshadowed his artistic achievements, and capitulation to HUAC would always affect his reputation. Now, Dmytryk insisted to former comrades that he had not sold out. But what must they have thought when, for a pivotal role in this film, he cast Adolphe Menjou? Once the on-screen epitome of high-toned sophistication, by the late 40s, Menjou was mostly a political lightning rod, Hollywood's most outspoken red baiter. It's head-spinning to think of him and Dmytryk working on a picture together at the height of the McCarthy era. Now, perhaps it makes perfect sense that Menjou plays a character named Lieutenant Frank Kafka.
They want to know if they can remove the body, Lieutenant.
Did you get your pictures?
Yes, sir.
All right.
How about one with the sheet off, Lieutenant? Just one, that's all.
Not a chance.
Why not? What's the matter?
Listen, food's too expensive to spoil people's appetite for breakfast. I wouldn't want a dead girl on my front page.
You got one anyway.
Columbia's finest DP, Burnett Guffey, shot the film entirely on location in my hometown, San Francisco, although the city is never named in the film. Film noir favorite Marie Windsor has a juicy supporting role, but the acting honors go to Arthur Franz, enacting the role of a deeply troubled loner named, disturbingly, Eddie Muller. Here is The Sniper.